That's what my sister called me. Every family dinner, every holiday toast. The title rolled off her tongue like venom dipped in honey. It started as teasing. "You'll change your mind one day, Liz. You'll want kids. You'll see." Then, as her life bloomed and mine stayed deliberately quiet, the jokes sharpened. "You wouldn't understand. You don't have a maternal bone in your body." And everyone laughed, even my mother. I learned to smile, to raise my glass and let their words slide over me. But every time she said heartless, something inside me stirred. Not pain, not jealousy, just calculation. The last time I saw her before everything changed was at her baby shower. Pink ribbons, cupcakes shaped like rattles, balloons that said, "It's a girl." I stood by the punch bowl, invisible, while she basked in the glow of motherhood and pity toward me. "Don't you want to hold her, Liz?" she said, handing me a framed ultrasound photo like it was a holy relic. I shook my head. "I'm fine." That was the moment she laughed, loud, cruel. "She's fine, everyone. She's always fine. The heartless spinster doesn't need anyone." The laughter spread. That's when I decided she'd never mock me again. The first clue came 2 months later, when she called me in tears. Her husband, Daniel, had been distant. Late nights at work, locked phone. I told her to stay calm, that stress wasn't good for the baby. But I already knew what was happening. You see, Daniel and I had history. Before he was her husband, he was almost mine. We were engaged once, briefly, until she accidentally introduced herself at one of his business dinners. She swooped in when I was too busy with my new promotion to notice. 6 months later, they were married. So when she called me crying, part of me wanted to say, "Now you know how it feels." But I didn't. I listened, I comforted, and I told her I'd look into it. I didn't have to look far. Daniel had been careful, but not careful enough. New bank account, hotel receipts, and a name that kept showing up, Mara. I met Mara 3 days later, young, ambitious, the same type my sister once was. We talked over coffee. I told her I was Daniel's sister-in-law. I told her my sister was expecting. I watched her face crumble. She had no idea. By the time we parted ways, she had everything she needed to ruin him. I didn't have to lie. I just let the truth breathe. But my sister, she was loyal to a fault. When the affair came out, she forgave him, said the stress of the baby drove him away. I almost pitied her. Almost. Because by then, I had already started phase 2. Daniel's company was about to go public. I owned a few quiet shares, enough to pull a few strings, enough to whisper to the right ears. When the board found out about his personal misconduct, they removed him quietly to save face. No headlines, just silence. He was broke by the time the baby was born. And my sister, she still had no idea it was me who'd lit the match. That brings us to the baby shower. The second one, a year later, her house this time. She'd recovered, new car, new job, new smugness. I'd been patient, too patient. She stood up, holding her daughter on her hip, and said, "To family, the people who stand by us through everything, even when they're too busy being independent to have one of their own." Laughter again, always laughter. That's when I stood, glass in hand, calm, steady. "To family," I said, "and to secrets, the kind that keep us together or tear us apart." The room went still. I looked right at Daniel. "By the way, Sarah," I said, "you should know that when you were 6 months pregnant, your husband was still seeing Mara at the Fairmont, room 308. The color drained from her face. Daniel opened his mouth, but no sound came out. I didn't stop there. And the reason he lost his job? That wasn't bad luck. That was me. I made sure everyone knew exactly who he was. You could hear the clock ticking. Her friends stared. Someone gasped. She whispered, Why would you do that?" I smiled. "Because you called me heartless. Then I placed my glass down, kissed my niece on the forehead, and walked out. It's been 2 years. Sarah moved back in with our mother. Daniel vanished to another state. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. But then I remember her voice, the laughter, the word spinster echoing around that table. I built a life on control. She built hers on cruelty. And in the end, I only gave her which she taught me, how to live without a heart.